Back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Talking about the issue of bail bond reform. Mark Woodside's with us. Good to have him on. He's been talking about this. Obviously, it means a lot to him because his business is bonding with Melton Bonding Company. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
He was on earlier a few weeks ago with Ben Hall as well, and so it's subject on Open Line. And it's something why do you think this is important? As we get into more of the details, we'll take some calls here in a second. To the average viewer watching right now who's saying, you know what, I'm not going to be arrested. I'm not going to have to worry or deal with this. Why should I care?
Well, even though you might not be the person arrested, or you might not be related or friends with somebody that's arrested and has to deal with this, it's going on all around you. Mm-hmm. It's in your neighborhood. It's where you work. It's in all four corners of the county. It's everywhere. You might not be directly, intimately related, mm-hmm. but tomorrow you might be the victim. Tomorrow you might be third-party collateral damage of something that occurred. We're all affected, even though we don't realize we are being affected.
I guess one example, and we can talk about this, is some of the inmates, or I guess suspects at this point, that had been released from Davidson County under pretrial, that were a little dangerous, that you think are a little dangerous, right?
Yes.
You had a couple of examples here. So you're showing me this, and I wonder what Darren Hall would say about this. You know, as he says, I think there needs to be some reform. I think most would agree with that. But the pretrial here in what, this woman, what did she do? This Jean Marie McKinnon, and she was charged with?
She was charged with violation of the sex offender registry. And on April 5th of this year, and again on April 13th of this year, pretrial released her both times in the same week, and she is required by law to register as a sex offender for the remainder of her life.
Now that was not in Davidson County, though, was it?
She was originally arrested, charged, and convicted in Scott County, but again, she has since moved to Davidson County. Okay. So their problem has become a Nashville issue. Okay. So, but the issue here, whatever county, you're saying there's been pretrial release. And again, the pretrial is set up by, you're saying, a review by sheriff's officials? Yes. Using criteria that has been established by the judges. Okay. All right. And so an example here, I guess, is I wouldn't, if I'm wondering why I care, probably want her getting out while she's awaiting trial if she lives next door to me with the charges she's based on. Well, and you would have, for me, what makes this case so abhorrent, you have to look at the reason she's on the sex offender registry. Mm-hmm. She was convicted for allowing men to rape preschool age children in exchange for narcotics. Yeah, pretty awful. That is terrible. Yeah. Let's take a call from Joe. Joe, good morning to you, Joe. How are you? Hi, Joe.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nick, and the bondsman. He's given a very good description of the bonding system. I've got a couple of questions for him. What kind of avenue do you have when you do write a bond for someone and they jump the bond? Do you use such things as what they call bounty hunters, or do you go after them yourself? Or what avenues do you have? And the second thing is that I'm really confused about a person that was convicted in January of a felon carrying a gun and was released. I don't know whether it was on bond or whether the judge let him go or whatever, but he wound up being shot. So I'm a little bit confused about what's going on here. And I appreciate your input. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure I understood the second point there, and put him on hold. The issue about people jumping bond. All right, and that's fine. I know people may have just general questions about the bonding industry, sure, but that's one of the more fascinating things. Everyone watches Dog the Bounty Hunter and how that plays out. And we do not operate that way. Okay, so is that not indicative of the bonding industry as a whole? I mean, certainly if someone jumps bond on a $50,000 bond you've posted, you want them back if you can find them, right? Of course. How do you go about doing that? Well, it starts before we even make the bond. We obtain a co-signer Okay.
That help stand good for the full amount of the money. We obtain information about friends, family, job, where he might hang out. And then we have all that information to go back to, and
to search for him.
We start looking.
Do you always get a cosigner?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that covers your butt then, doesn't it?
Well, not necessarily. You know, the cosigner can bankrupt. The cosigner can say, "I'm not helping. Sue me," and that just creates a whole nother legal avenue. But we use the information that we have initially, try to gather new information, and we go out and we beat the bushes and we try to find this person.
Yeah, and I would think that's a great purpose. If nothing else, most of the time people think this image of someone's jumping bond and they're running for the border and they're disappearing. But more often than not, isn't it sometimes just, you know, these folks that are charged with crimes aren't always the most upstanding citizens. They have a date to show up, and they don't show. But it doesn't mean they took off. It's just they're clueless or they don't care or whatever.
And it's typically they don't care.
Yeah, and so at that point, you're kind of serving as an agent of the court in a way in that, look, I've got this bond and he didn't show up. Let's go get him.
Yes, sir.
So if he misses it, then you go to the house, you knock on it. You had a court date today. You didn't show. This is a violation of the bond. And you bring them in, and then you get the money back after that when they show up?
Well, yes.
Okay,
yes.
You do, as long as you find them. Are you able to bring them, or do you have to bring a deputy with you? I mean, if you find them and they've jumped bond, how do you get them in custody?
We use a certified copy of the bond that we had. It's certified by the criminal court clerk.
Okay.
That gives us the authority to arrest that person.
So you have individuals that they're not law enforcement themselves, like you yourself. Do you have a badge or
we
something?
would do it ourselves.
Okay, so
we have a photo ID type badge that was issued by the criminal court clerk.
Okay, and so you find them, and if they don't want to go, I mean, are you armed? You can take them in handcuffs?
Yes.
So you have authority to do that?
Yes.
That's interesting. All right, and you can I have more questions for you. I think it's fascinating, and we'll get into, you know, as we go with the reform, but see what some of the other folks think. Let's go to Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning.
Hey, go ahead. Hi there.
Good morning, Mr. Woodside. I think it was Woodside.
Yes, Mr. Woodside.
How you doing?
Good.
Anyway, bond companies are great. They're very great. They're the only ones that are going to help you get out. But of course, you got to have somebody come down and sign for you. So you better hope you got the money to bail yourself out. But they can't take the cash from you, but they'll work with you. I'll give you the money. And then they say, well, I still have to have someone sign. And that aspect I love about that, because there's a lot of people, which I know, one especially, her mother put up a $200,000 home for $80 bond. Well, $180,000 bond. So she puts her house up. So the day of her trial in Rutherford County, she ran, and her mother hid her out at a hotel. I think it was down there off Harding Place, off Antioch Pike, right there, that hotel, right behind that Exxon station.
Yeah.
So she was hiding out there. So the cops find her because they told the mother they're going to take her house. Okay, they had every right to take the house because she put it up for the bond.
Yep.
And of course, it was a nice home. And they were going to take the home, and finally she said, okay, she's here. So when the police got there with the SWAT to get her, because she was a dangerous criminal, okay, you got to admit, she had some guns and stuff. And when she got there, when they got there, the police, and the undercovers and the SWAT, she says, she didn't want to go, and she got in the car, and her mother had already warned her to take off. So when she tried to pull out, she hit a police officer's knee And finally, she hit about 5 cop cars. They had her blocked in, and she hit them all with this brand new SUV her mother gave her. And the next thing I know, it was all over the national news. But she deserved 5 years or more in jail for.
Okay, I see her point. She deserves it. I see where Cindy's going. But here's someone who got out on bond that was creating a big headache.
Sure, sure. But that, again, that was not through a bonding company. The lady, evidently, I think if I'm hearing her right, her mother put her house up.
Oh, yep.
A property bond. That's another avenue of.
I was going to say, that's not, now, I also thought maybe it's possible, could the mother have done that with you guys as a backup?
No, we don't take property like that.
You don't take property bonds?
No.
So that when someone co-signs with someone to get out on bond with you, they have to have liquid resources.
Correct.
Prove it that it's in a bank account. But you're right. Is there any other way to get out on bond? The property bond, going through a bonding company, paying cash yourself. Can there be provisions attached to the bond that maybe improve your chances of getting out, say if you agree to house arrest or an ankle bracelets?
Yes. They do the electronic monitor, drug testing, interlock for alcohol-related charges. There are several conditions that they put on that.
And surrendering your passports, is that almost always pretty standard?
No, I wouldn't say it's standard. It happens periodically.
Okay, all right. You know, we have, like I said, some very high-profile cases right now. I don't even know if a bond was ever set for Travis Ranking, the Waffle House shooter.
I'm not sure. I don't think there was.
Are there, I guess there are folks sometimes that you would not choose. No one's forcing you. You can decide who you chose to post bond for, right? Are there folks you turn away?
Yes.
Based on?
Some of
aside from just unable to pay you, but
well, some of it is flight risk.
Okay.
Some of it is the nature of the charge. Honestly,
yeah.
The lady with the backstory of allowing men to rape a child.
You're not going to post
I wouldn't make her bond for anything.
Yeah, you can make that call. Interesting. All right, listen, we got to take a break on that note. More phone calls if you're on hold. Stay there. We got the lines open. Questions about the bond system, bonding reform, and the like. Our guest is Mark Woodside, Melton Bonding Company. Back with more right after this.